Bonjour, ça va? Hola, ¿cómo estás? As you can probably tell, I am multilingual. I speak English, French, and Spanish. I'm trying to learn sign language. I have the number system down, but I'm also learning to say goats and tigers, animals, fun things. Another language that I'm very good at is speaking Excel. And I also happen to be very good at speaking Domo. So I'm going to show you today how to be bilingual between Excel and Domo. Okay, so let's look at a standard Excel table. Let's say we have these two little data sets. We have these columns of cuisines, Italian, French, Japanese, American, Mexican, and we have our rank here. Sure, whatever. We have another set right here, and we have the main ingredients that are basically used. Now, with Excel, we could do a lot of very, very easy things that you can also do in Domo. So, for instance, one easy thing we could totally do in Excel is we could say, hey, you know what I want? I want everything to be capitalized. I can say upper, do that. Easy peasy, right? I just go down, grab it, paste, boom. Let's move over to, and there we go. Super easy. We could use upper. We could do that. No problem. Another thing that we could do in Excel that's super easy, we could do something like some other formatting. We could say left. Give me the left of this thing. Go how many spaces? 3 spaces. I don't care. And there we go. We could do it again. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Super easy. You could do the same thing with right. Pretty straightforward. We can also do another text formatting thing like mid. Mid is right here. I could say go in here, start on number 3 and go, I don't know, 3 more spaces. Done. No problem. Very, very easy. We could do the exact same stuff, exactly the same in Domo. For instance, I want to say upper. All I have to do is go in here and type in upper. I don't need to do an equal sign to get it going. I could say upper. I want cuisine. Done. And let's go see it. No problem. We could also do left, just like how we have it in Excel, left on cuisine. And I want to go 3 spaces. No problem. No problem. Pretty easy. Now, the mid one is a little bit different. In SQL Domo world, it's called substring, but it's the same format essentially. Substring, I want to pick on my column that I want, and I want to say I want to start on 3, go 3 spots. Easy peasy, no problem on any of these. Super straightforward. Now, let's talk about some differences. Okay, so with Excel, the building block of everything is really the if statement for the hardcore logic. And we could do that super easy, right? We could say if this cell, sure, equals, we'll do this one, Italian, then Italy, otherwise, double quote, blank. Obviously, it picks on the first one. If we did it correctly, nothing shows up. Pretty straightforward. In SQL world, we do something different. We do something called a case when statement, which is basically just the if statement. So we're going to say case when, and now I can do the same exact thing. Case when that thing, cuisine, when it equals, and we do a single quote instead of a double quote, Italy, Italian, then Italy, single quote, else. You could do that if you want to do a double quote, or you could just stop right here if you don't want anything to be in there. And there it is, no problem. But what's super cool, what I can do in SQL that I can't really do in Excel. In Excel, we have to, when we want to do multiple layers of logic, you have to kind of write them all out this way. And for sure, you can open this up and you can have many if statements, but you have to make this if thing, this else false thing, another if statement. You have to keep writing it again and again and again. You have to keep going. So it gets very cumbersome if you have like 10 logic rules. With Domo and SQL, you could just keep putting them all under here. You can nest them. So I could say, you know what? When the cuisine equals French, then call it France. We'll say that. And I can keep going, but it's much neater than having it long form like a formula in Excel. There we go. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of similarities. Now, let me show you some other fun stuff that we could do with. Let's talk about a VLOOKUP. With Excel, when we do a VLOOKUP, how it usually works, it says, hey, go find this value and find it on the first column here and go get me the second column. No problem, right? So if I were to do it here, equals v lookup, boom, I could do give me that thing within here, give me column 2, false, we're done. No problem. Pasta, easy, oops, butter, etc. Right? We're pulling it in. No big deal. However, what happens if we happen to have another ingredient? We say beans. Well, if you do a VLOOKUP, it only picks up the first instance of when the ingredient shows. So for instance, if we move this down, if I do this here, you're going to see corn will be the only one that shows, even though there are 2 values. It only picks on 1 to 1. You would have to put this into a pivot table to give you multiple values that can come through. Well, with SQL and Domo, you could do something different. It's called a join. And with the join, look, I'm just moving, dragging and dropping. I'm not even going to type anything like any VBA code. I can go to combine right here, join, and I can say join it off of cuisine and cuisine. Cool. I don't need to do that. And let's run preview. And as you can see, there we go. I have my ranking and I get both of my ingredients right there all the time. So we can do something called a join to get all the values that meet the criteria instead of having to do just a VLOOKUP. So let's do something off of this. Let's put this in here and check this out. Similar to Excel, I could do pivot tables. It's pretty easy. I could say, put this right here. I don't know, whatever. You can do what you want. Very, very easy to do, pretty straightforward. But I can do a bunch of other very cool things with Domo. I have way more options for how to display the data through bar charts, horizontal charts, pie charts, this data science stuff where we could do whisker and plot parts. Maps like this, super easy. You just got to kind of drag it in. You can even put a custom map. You can do gauges. We have so many more options than Excel. And I am a Excel pro, but there are so many more options that you could do with Domo. Another cool thing that I could do is I could do a bunch of colors if I wanted to. We can put that in here. I could change that pretty easy. Total rows, you could put that on the front, the top, whatever you want it to be. I could do that, for instance, move it before. Super straightforward. You can see how fast and easy it is for me to move into this thing. Pretty easy to get it done. But there's some really cool stuff that I could do too. So I want to show you this. What I could do here is I can export this to Excel PowerPoint if I want to, or I can have Excel pick it up directly into Workbook. So here we're going to go. I've connected my Domo to Microsoft Excel, and I'm just going to find this table that I made. So one thing that I could do with Domo and Excel, if they talk together, is I could find the table we just made, called this cuisine one, right? And I could say, give me this data view and import it directly into my Excel. And there we go. Now we got the table. And now I could do stuff I want in Excel off of that data that I've used Domo to compress. Okay, so let's say we have this list like French, and I want to change that word French. I want to change it to français. Well, what do I do now? Well, what's really cool? I could take this whole thing, I can go back to Domo, and I can re-import it into Domo. Right there. And I could call it something like Cuisines Renamed. And right now, Excel is shooting it right back into Domo. There's our data set run a few seconds ago. And there's Francais. So the thing that I want to show you is that Domo and Excel, SQL, all that stuff, they're very, very, very similar, but there are a lot more capabilities that you can do in both. They both have pros and cons. And the bigger thing is that they all talk to each other. Now, when you have Domo talking to Excel, Excel talking to Domo, you can do a lot of cool things. So imagine this. You could take your Excel, put in a Domo, or you could just build it in Domo. And I could do things like setting alerts off of this thing. So with alerts, it's like Outlook rules. I can basically say, hey, go notify me if there's a huge change in this data set. That's one thing you can do with it. Another cool thing that we can do with this data is we can schedule a report. That means you can say, hey, you know what? Go email this to whoever I want to email and go send it on these days, or go send it daily at this time until this date. You could do that automatically. You can also import this directly into PowerPoint. So if I open up PowerPoint and I get the Domo plugin, I could look up cuisines and I could just say, this is the one I want, go plop it in. Boom. So now if you're making reports consistently every week, QBRs, MBRs, you could just have Domo automatically put it into your PowerPoint so you don't have to spend time updating it all over again from scratch. Pretty cool. You can also put it into Microsoft Teams, into Outlook, a bunch of really cool applications. You could also take this data, you could actually embed it into your own website. So that's pretty cool. All from doing little Excel things that you could make it talk with Domo, do more in Domo, and really make a great user experience for your users or for your customers with the applications. Okay, that's a very quick show and tell of how we can speak bilingual between Excel and Domo. Hope that helps.